All right. We are live.
Which one do you want me? Do you want me to watch Facebook or YouTube?
We are live right now. So I want you to watch YouTube.
Okay.
Okay? All right. Sorry about the
What's
delay.
up?
We were having some technical difficulties. We did not realize that on Facebook we had a separate barrier there. We had to click go live just on Facebook, whereas the other things we did not actually have to click go live. So we have figured that out. So thank you, those of you tuning in right now. I'm Brooks. I play guitar for Tetrafusion. Anybody else want to introduce yourselves?
What's up? I'm Mark, bass player. Been doing this a while. What's
JC drums.
Cool.
Brooks, I think you've got another instance of the live one going.
What do you
I'm
mean?
Gary.
I have another instance.
Keys and
of what?
vocals.
What do you mean?
I'm hearing it twice.
Uh,
No.
I see what you
I
mean.
see.
Oh,
Okay, we're good.
Okay. We good? Everybody hears everybody okay?
Yep.
sounding great.
Awesome. All right.
Thanks everybody for tuning in.
Oh yeah, I do hear that delay as well on somebody's end. Sorry guys, this is our first time ever doing this.
I
We
was-
are
I was-
complete noobs.
You can
I
definitely
was checking. I was checking the stream.
So who's got
We're-
Facebook
we have
open? Mark.
I do
Oh.
right now.
Mark's
I also
going to be
have
looking
YouTube
at
open.
Facebook. I'm going to be looking at Twitch. JC is going to be looking at YouTube. So if you have any questions or comments,
Hold on, before you start, Jeff Arnett on Facebook says, working on any new music. Yes, we have album number 5, like 90%, maybe even 100% done. I'll let Brooks talk about that a little later. But yes, we have album number 5 in the works, and we're just looking to get it recorded, just sometime when appropriate with everything going on in the world. But it's in the pipes, so be ready.
cool. Anybody else want to say before we start listening to Absolute Zero, our first album? I guess we should just talk about Absolute Zero generally before we kick it on.
Play it. Yeah. So I'll talk about the start of it all real quick. So JC, Gary and I got together at JC's, and Gary was on an old, I don't even know what it was, like a Hammond organ. What was it? It wasn't like a real one, but just some
No,
organ
it
he
was-
had.
Just an old organ.
And he played this riff, and we had no intentions of starting a band, but he played this kind of like proggy riff that was in 7/8, and we were really into that kind of music at the time. And I played along, and I realized I was a half step off, and the organ was out of tune, and this isn't relevant to anything. But it was kind of fun because we sat there and worked up the beginning to this song, and we said, hey, we should start a band. This is really cool what we came up with, about a minute of music. And this was in 2006. It was like October 2006. No intentions of starting a band or writing music, but we were just jamming. And we tabbed it out, and I sent it to Brooks that night, and he said, I want to join the band. And, the rest is history. But it all started with the song Inertia, which I think is track 5 on the album, and we'll get to that soon. But it was a really cool start sometime back in 2006, when Tetrafusion was sort of born. And I remember trying to name the band, and it was, naming a band's like naming your own child. It's really tough to do, to have a name that nobody else has, and this and that. And there were 4 of us in the band, and we were fusing together as lame as that description sounds on paper, but that's kind of how he came up with it. So Tetrafusion is just a fusion of 4 musicians.
Well,
That's basically where the name.
And I think the other thing was, like, I was actually the last member to join the band because y'all originally wanted to have a saxophone player.
Yeah, actually we did. It was going to be like a jazz thing.
And it was going to be like a jazz fusion kind of thing. So I think that was probably part of it. I don't know. I wasn't really technically in the band at the point where y'all came up with the name.
There actually was a previous iteration of the name that I had kind of brought to the table. That I remember Gary specifically shooting it down. I had said Tetraphonics, and I think it was actually Gary that had substituted fusion in place of phonics, and that name sucked a lot less. So we
Well,
did
they
that.
both
then
kinda
we
suck.
stole. We stole the font from Dodge and made our logo.
Yep, that is exactly right. So Dodge, if you're watching, sponsor this video.
Mr. Dodge.
Mr. Dodge.
And don't sue us.
We
Please.
have a comment on YouTube, and let me address this, and then we can get started, I guess.
Sure.
Mo Spodek says studio pictures.
That's Damien.
Hey, Damien.
Damian Reynolds.
Yep.
Yeah.
Hey, Damien.
I'm still looking for him. Don't worry.
All right. Well, let's get started with the beginning. Hope everybody can hear that.
Yep.
That guitar sound, I took a remote control for a TV, and I put it up against my pickups and pushed a button and used the wah-wah pedal because I didn't actually know how to play guitar, so I had to resort to tricks.
This was a song Brooks wrote.
Yeah, I guess I did write most of this one. That's like one of the last songs. It was probably the second to last song written. The end was the last song written, for sure.
This is one of my favorite drum grooves on this song. It's a lot of fun to play. I like the B section too, right here.
Bum, 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 bum. Yeah.
I wrote this.
Oh yeah, you did write this riff, and then it was my idea for the thing coming up, which is it's in
Right.
It's in 6/4, and so it goes to the 12/8 feel. I remember playing that one live and just like really jamming out to that part.
Yeah.
When we started Tetrafusion, I was still like super new to double bass, and I remember struggling really, really hard with a lot of this stuff. But it was a lot of fun.
Well,
you know,
since
kind of
actually,
pushing. Yeah, it's a good place to stop. Yeah, it was a lot of fun pushing boundaries. You know, I'd played a little double bass before, but I think Brooks started writing parts, and they were things that were out of my reach and difficult to play. And that's kind of been like a ongoing thing with Tetrafusion, is that I've been constantly pushing boundaries in my own drumming and abilities, and it's fun to have somebody, you know, bringing things to the table that you can't do. And so that's been a constant thread throughout this entire band.
yeah, you were.
I'd say it's not only for drums. I think it's for basically all of us, constantly pushing us to new boundaries and whatnot.
All right.
Yeah, and this album was kind of landmark for that. This was I think this was the first album any of us did as musicians and actually like released an official album. And
For
you know,
sure.
we were 16,
Yeah.
17, just whatever. And I posted this on Instagram earlier, but there was no motive or agenda for this album. We were literally just writing music for fun and writing what inspired us. And like I also said on Instagram, I really miss those days of like not having to write music for any sort of deadline delivery for anybody, for any group, any business, just writing music for no other reason than writing music. And like I'll always cherish this album as just kind of like a snapshot of that time in my life. And
Mark,
there's just something really fulfilling about that.
I've been told by two
Yeah.
separate people, Mark, that you are considerably louder than everybody else. So I think you're
Calm
just too
down.
close to the mic, probably.
Cool
I'll
it.
calm
I think
down.
you can probably relax.
Just
So
relax a
yeah,
little.
I was the oldest, or I am the oldest person in the band. But whenever we started, JC was 15 years old. I know that, which is insane because now you're an old
And
man.
he's still 15.
He still acts
Now I'm
15.
almost 30.
All right, let's resume the track. I remember picking that keyboard sound in it was either the percussion room or the band library.
Was that on an analog sound on Gary's cheapo
Yes.
keyboard back in the day?
Yes. Well, it
Just
was
like the
called like
inertia sound?
it was called like Galaxy or something like that, and we called this section the first star. So So it was space related.
Yeah.
The sound was space
And
related.
Spo.
Yeah, the first star. That's right. And then the first galaxy is coming up. Yeah.
All right.
I love that China hit right there.
Yeah,
that
that
was
is
always
pretty
so
cool.
like man, little things. This drum part right here, I have a story about this. Brooks came over and he asked me if I'd written a part for this section, and I hadn't. So I just played that, and he said, "Wow, that's pretty good."
Mark wrote this part. You can tell whenever everything cuts out except for bass, it's Mark.
This is a weird part. I still can't play it.
You know, I haven't listened to this album in a while, but I really like the bass sound. You know, it
Yeah.
sounds really good.
That's such a vintagey keyboard sound. I like that.
Who wrote that?
That could have been cleaner. I wrote that. It could have
That
been
was
cleaner
that
too.
was gross. Absolutely.
You wrote this. So here's another thing. Me and Mark were talking about this the other day. If you hear a chromatic eighth note part, Mark wrote it.
I wrote this too. This is bizarre. Absolutely bizarre.
Yeah, those were supposed to be triplets. Decada. But we changed to 16. It's easier.
I miss a ride cymbal bell hit coming up.
We're going to talk about all the mistakes on the album.
Did you tell David you hit a felt?
Yeah, I did. I do it on this album a couple times actually. It's been bothering me for 15 years.
I'm going to stop it right here at this new section. I hit this ninth here. I've always hated that. I've always regretted that decision. Anyway.
What is this next part called? The first,
First
galaxy?
Galaxy. So somebody,
Coming up, yeah.
somebody on Twitch, Kale the Shadow, says, I found this record when Mike Portnoy mentioned in some Ultimate Guitar article, and I was super into it. Probably one of the big reasons I got into playing pro. So thanks, guys. Purple.
Thanks,
Heart.
Mike.
No. their
Did
name's
Mike
not-
actually mention this?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Really?
I did.
Where did I miss that?
I've
News
never
to
seen
us.
that. That is
Okay.
news to me. Like, if that's actually true and it wasn't like some troll Mike Portnoy account, then like I'm super like fangirling right now. Like I can't believe he did.
I
that.
just toured with Mike Portnoy 2 months ago, and he didn't say that, so
Yeah,
I don't
He
know.
probably doesn't remember.
He probably didn't do it,
I
but maybe
feel-
he did. I don't know.
I feel like he would remember the name Tetrafusion because it sucks. Like I've always hated
Yeah.
that name. But the good thing, well, so it seems like it's a good thing. You always want to have a name of something that is not used anywhere else, so it's really Googleable. You know, back in
Googleable.
Part of the impetus. Yeah.
Googleable.
back in the day, you know, people would say, "Oh, you want to pick a name that people can remember or something that people know how to pronounce and things like that." Those are more important things, but now it's got to be very unique so that you can Google it and you're the only search result. But
Yeah.
We can
so
name-
the weird thing is though, whenever you search Tetrafusion, you get things other than us, so it's not that unique.
Now you do, yeah.
Kobe Coco
We're
says,
first
"I am
or
a fan."
Maybe second.
Thanks, Kobe.
Kobe.
Thanks,
We're
Mr.
a fan
Coco.
too.
All right,
You
want to keep going?
What was
Let's
I?
go.
I was gonna say something, but I forgot. So just play it.
Can't remember. All right, here we go. There's gonna be lots of inside jokes on here that nobody gets. That reverse cymbal sound was on
And
your
the little
keyboard,
splash.
Gary, and you can hear it
Yeah,
just
I remember
barely
that.
on that one note every time you play it.
Right,
Put
I
it on
layered
just
it
one
in.
note.
Yeah.
Layered it on one single note. That was on his motif.
You should have put it on a note that was out of the key, so you could only trigger it when you wanted to. I was obsessed with "Stranglehold" by Ted Nugent when I
like
wrote
this
part.
right here. These unison hits. Check it out.
Yeah, that's cool.
It just feels good. Like I remember playing that live. It felt good to lock in and just.
Topo Chico, not a sponsor.
Back to the beginning, pun intended.
Ayo. This right here. That was always really hard to line up. Oh, I love the keys on this part.
Man, those hi-hats were so bright.
The synth is way heavier on this album than any other album. Like
Yeah.
David mixed it way high,
cymbals?
way high. No, the synth is mixed way higher on this album, which I miss.
I think it's also, I really like the section, by the way, but I think it's also the instrumentation that this was our least dense album. We hadn't yet experimented with like layering or backing tracks. Everything on this record was like 100% live. So if you weren't able to, all four of us play it at the same time, it didn't make it there. So the synth played a different role. It was just in a different place here, you know?
Right. This was always so fun to play.
Yeah.
It was.
What is
it
this,
really
12, 11?
12 and 11,
12,
yeah.
11?
was. I used to rush this like crazy
Yes,
just
I remember
because it
that.
was like, I would get excited. I get excited and want to rush the 11 bar.
Who wrote that bass crap?
You wrote it.
I don't think I wrote
I
that.
swear you wrote that. Okay, I might have written it. I don't really remember.
Matt Houghton says, "Is any of this required?" Yes.
He.
Yes, Matt. Thank you.
I don't want to reveal his identity, but somebody named Chronowarp on Twitch says, "Hi, Bork. What's up, dude?" I know I wrote this part. Whenever I expect a lot of Gary.
I haven't listened to this album in a while, and like I forgot some of these parts existed.
So this part right here, everybody for my entire life has said, "Oh, it's like Crazy Train." So screw you.
Did I write this?
Nobody's ever said
think I
that.
wrote it.
It's
ever
8 notes.
To me.
No, it's 8 notes.
Oh yeah. I said chromatic 8 notes.
Oh,
This is diatonic. Well, I guess technically it's not diatonic because it goes to the raised 7th.
Leading tones.
I like the lo-fi guitar. Probably not intentional lo-fi.
I literally
Yeah,
don't know
like,
what part's coming up next. I have no
That
idea.
dynamic
But it's
change
building.
right there where I was.
I feel like I'm hearing this for the first time. Oh. Ooh.
So much octave
Yeah.
pitch bend.
Ah.
Like this song has already had like 4 moments.
Oh, I love that coming
Nice.
back. And the first
Okay,
the first
I
time
remember
it's
this
in
now.
it's guitar and keys panned. But that time it's mono
Yes.
with just keys and it just like hits so
Oh,
hard.
here's the part where the bass track tone mattered.
We're not there yet.
What's coming up?
So many like Portnoy-isms on this record. Like listen to this hi-hat ride cymbal thing. You know, like I don't do that anymore, but
Yeah.
I loved it back then.
So yeah,
All
there's
right.
a lot of articulation in guitar on this, but like the bass, it does not matter.
Remember what I
You
said
could be
about
playing any
struggling?
note.
'Cause I was
Good.
dying.
You could have played
right
it just
here.
all open.
JC, didn't you have to actually re-record the bass drum here?
Not on
remember
this
that?
song, no.
Yeah,
Not
no,
on
we
this
did.
track.
Yeah, I remember re-recording
You
it.
had to go back and redo it.
Yeah, because
Like-
it was
like
hard.
2 months
I had
later.
Yeah, because it sucked and David couldn't fix it. You hear me hitting my snare and it's not even lined up with the kick. Like I was back there just sweating. I was new. I had never done it before.
Yeah, I think by the time we recorded it, you were probably 16. That's going to bring me to a point here in a second. I'll let this track finish out.
I was looking forward to these breaks right here so bad. This one's extra long. And then when it goes to this halftime, it's so much harder because there's
Yeah.
fewer points of reference.
Yeah, it's cool. I rushed that on guitar a little bit. It's cool.
Nice.
So yeah,
All right.
I made reference to JC being pretty young when we recorded this, and that reminded me, back in the day, especially, we were spamming our music on every forum that we could think of, And Mark was posting on.
Did a lot of unforgivable things.
Yes, but Mark was posting on Talkbase a lot back then. I remember him posting our music, and some random guy on there saying, your music's great, but I can just tell that y'all are young and immature, and you just need to mature up a little bit.
We still are.
And like, I remember being so offended by that because I'm like, I'm a music student and I know everything about music and blah 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 whatever. And I was just like, I took that so poorly, and now I listen to our music now and I hear the 15, 16, 17-year-olds in it. It's kind of weird.
Wait till you get to the Latin section.
So, real quick, George Vatsis on Facebook asks, what drove the inspiration for the Galaxy theme? So that song was the beginning, and it's well documented on any of our pages, but the first album was about the heat death of the universe. It was an instrumental concept album. Again, 15, 16, 17, very nerdy, very geeky. So the first track is the beginning, the last song is the end, and it goes through the life of the universe at the beginning. So there's 4 movements. I can't even remember what the first one is called, but there's movement 2 is like the first star, the first galaxy, and then
I can't recall.
What's the last one? Does anybody know? Been 12, 13 years. I don't remember. So
the only place that the movements of the song are documented are on the back of the CD case. So
yeah, and it's in my attic or something. So yeah, we go through dark matter, energy, gravity, inertia, as we'll get to, but the whole album is about like the life of the universe. And we use different tonal concepts and moods and sounds to kind of depict like a soundtrack to the universe, if you will. So to answer your question, that's basically what's going on when we talk about any of the space theme stuff with the music. But so the next song is Dark Matter, and we can start that whenever you want.
If I remember correctly, I think that the name Absolute Zero came before the concept. And, you know, to me, we were an instrumental band. We didn't have any vocals. And whenever you're doing instrumental songs, you don't want them to be about nothing. Like, you don't want to just make up words or things. So that gave us at least a little bit of, you know, inspiration and structure to what we were doing, to have like some sort of overarching concept. And, you know, like, we all kind of grew up listening to nerdy music, and concept albums were we were no stranger to that idea. So it was just a really easy, natural thing for us to do. And then, you know, it got a little easier when we added vocals. We didn't have to keep kind of making these contrived sort of movements to explain a song, you know.
I'll keep this brief because I want to get on to the next song. I just remember being a senior in high school. That's whenever we started the band, and I was in physics class, and then we started talking about like the heat death of the universe and whatnot. So, y'all came to me with this song Inertia that you wrote, and then that's whenever the wheel started turning. I think y'all called it Inertia, and then I had like this physics connection, and then that's where that came from.
I do remember that. I think Inertia came before anything, before there was an Absolute Zero, before there was a concept. Yes. I mean, I don't. Gary, do you remember where that came from?
The name for it, I'm not entirely sure. But I remember that. Okay, so we had Inertia, and then Momentum was proposed after that. And I remember just absolutely rejecting that, just like thinking that was a song called Momentum. We were really kind of pushing it. And then we had the beginning, and the very last thing, when I think I actually proposed the name of the last song to be The End, and I think Brooks absolutely hated it at the time.
There was pushback. There absolutely was. He was like, absolutely not.
I don't dislike it.
Absolutely
now.
Zero.
Absolutely zero. All right. With that being said, let's listen to
Dark Matter.
Dark Matter. Here we go.
Welcome, Mr. Christopher.
Yeah. So this song, I just started college, so I was like, I wrote this intro, having a music theory professor that played cello. I was like, I can write a cello thing.
Speak up.
I can write a cello thing. And so this is what I wrote. Also, I was dumb because I wrote it in Guitar Pro, which does not adhere you to tunings. You know, you use tab. Back then, you used tab even to write cello parts. And I wrote it below the cello range. So he had to detune his low C string to an A. And he was real cool about it. He was like, yeah, that's fine. He didn't make me feel dumb about it. It was great. Here's to you.
But do you
Paul
feel dumb
Christopher.
about it?
No, because it sounds
All
good.
right.
Who cares? You can do whatever you want as long as it sounds good. Or if you're going for it to sound bad, you can go for that too. I don't care. Actually, that is true on the last album. There's a thing that's intentionally bad sounding. We'll get to that in 3 weeks. Chrono Warp says, Bork, can you play What Have I Done? That'll be next week.
Next week.
That hit so hard. Rush that drum fill, idiot.
Wrong drum fill.
Oh, that bass line is good. Really weak pinch harmonics on guitar. Boo! That wasn't originally supposed to be on piano.
It's got a synth layered in there.
Yeah, it's subtle. The pitch bend.
I love this drum groove coming up right here.
I wrote that groove.
Yeah, I remember that. And it was just so like the only way to play it the way it was written was just sloppy like this, and it was fun.
JC coming up with excuses to play sloppy.
I told you I was a really big Portnoy fan back when we did this record, you know.
So you're not anymore?
That's not what I said.
I thought this part was cool.
Yeah.
I really, really like that splash cymbal.
This one has a very like
Very
verse chorus thing.
Yeah.
That was a very Floyd transition.
Yeah, I think this was definitely a step toward discovering verses and choruses for Tetrafusion. We didn't really have those very often, at least not on this record.
Right.
Brooks came up with this bass groove because I couldn't think of anything to write. So
I think I wrote the guitar or the bass and the drum set part simultaneously.
yeah, you did.
Well, most of this
Every
song,
time I
most of this song I think I wrote.
Every time I think of this solo, I think of our first gig at Soundstage. And Casey threw his drumstick.
Yeah. That's a good lick.
You remember that?
lick.
Brooks was getting it. Yeah, we'll tell that story when we pause. I think this is a good place to pause at this transition.
Okay. I remember extending this guitar solo. It wasn't originally this long, but I was just feeling it in the studio. I remember David just like rolling his eyes, like, "Come on, dude." I paused it. So, did you want to say something, JC, since I paused it?
Well, I remember we had our very first show, and it was supposed to be on 420 in, what was it,
2007.
2007.
No 20, just
20,
2000s.
well, 2007.
No, it was
2007.
420, 2007.
Yes.
007.
So we had shirts printed for our very first hometown, you know, kind of just dingy
Thanks,
rock
Mom.
show. Yeah, thanks, Mom. And then they double booked us, and we had to play our show the very next day. So we played our debut 420 show on 421 at Soundstage. And
shirts
Mark
say
had a little
420?
story too.
Yes.
The shirts
Yeah.
say 420
It says debut album 42007.
on 421.
And we told the promoter, like, I think it was it. I remember the guy's name. I'm not going to say it, but I do remember the guy's name, and that sucks. That was not very nice.
While it stopped, somebody asked me what I was playing through, which made the pinch harmonic so bad. I was playing through a very cheap 7-string Ibanez guitar. I think the model number is AX7221. And I still have it. If you want it, I'll sell it to you for like $100. And I got it because back then I did not understand guitars at all. I still barely understand guitars, but like I remember seeing John Petrucci playing he had back. I can't remember what the color shift paint was called, but there was a specific picture where
pearlescent.
There's a proprietary name for it. Anyway, they had a color shift guitar, and in a certain light, it had this sort of pewtery color. And I looked on eBay for 7-string guitar, and I found one with like a pewter color, and I was like, "Mom, buy this for me for Christmas," and she did. So
Kaylee says Lionel Richie was on the poster. That's a very important point.
Oh my God, I remember that. We
we
made
print.
posters.
I accidentally unplugged my headphones.
we made posters for the show, and we had a pretty unattended, band period where we had free reign over anything and everything. And I remember the copy room was a place where people often hung out, and we just used the copy machine like crazy on everything. It was no discretion whatsoever. So we pulled something out of a cubby. It was like some sheet music or a record of Lionel Richie, and then we kind of started writing on paper and taping it around Lionel Richie. And I don't remember what we wrote, but we used that to promote our show and printed out a few hundred flyers using the band room's toner and paper and plastered them all over the school. And I don't think there were ever any negative repercussions for that. I don't think they even thought to think that we were abusing their endless supply of toner and paper.
So,
but we
yeah.
did it.
Daniel Farmer says, "What's up, dudes?" So Daniel Farmer, from what I remember, we were using his studio to record the first 2 Tetrafusion albums.
Yes.
Hey,
So
Wing
without
6
Daniel
Productions.
Farmer's studio, you would not be listening to this
It was
album.
Daniel
so thanks,
Farmer's
Daniel.
studio, and David Forshee is the guy that recorded everything.
Yeah, they had a little
Like a trailer
little trailer.
dedicated
They called
recording.
it Queen 6 Productions.
Yeah, and the funny thing about recording with David is he charged $200 per song back in whatever year that was. And he says, "All right, this
How many
song is going to be
songs?
$200." And he goes, "How long's the song?" And we said 15 minutes.
Yeah, I think
So-
that played
To
a
be
role
fair,
in,
we
like,
did
why
double
we-
pay him on those longer ones.
Yeah,
It just was funny.
We put him through the ringer, honestly,
Yeah.
and I'm surprised that he actually finished the album after everything we kind of put him through. But he did. He dealt with a bunch of kids who kind of knew how to play and knew nothing about making a record, and we still made a record. So
All right, y'all ready to
All
move
right,
on?
this next song is Energy.
Well,
Let's do
we're
it.
not even done with Dark Matter yet,
we're
dude.
not done with
Well,
Dark Matter.
This is the second half. This is Dark
Oh
Energy.
my gosh, I'm losing track of time.
All right, here we go.
I forgot.
So I said 8th note chromatic stuff Mark usually wrote, but this is 16th note chromatic stuff,
Tom
so I
Drew.
wrote it.
I accidentally hit that symbol there, but I kind of liked it, so I kept it.
But the fact that it only happens once makes it sound like a mistake.
Kick drum.
Really good build, and then
Yeah.
it just opens up right here.
Yeah, this is good. Dude, that stack sounds better than any of your other stacks from the next
Sounds
few
good.
albums.
Still have it.
Is that or is that a
I
splash?
think we might have close mic'd it too.
Yeah, we need to do that on the next album. Weird chord. I like it.
Ah, I forgot about this. This part of the song is like such a favorite of mine.
I didn't understand how guitar pedals worked, and I remember having a sound of the delay in my head. Inside joke. But I did. It doesn't sound like the way that I envisioned it, so that kind of sucks.
Synth is so dry.
Yeah,
So dry.
you can tell I dubbed over the higher guitar open string thing. I hate that.
I love those harmonics.
Yeah. I wish I wouldn't have dubbed.
This
over
next
the
riff is so
instruments.
groovy.
Oh yeah, this one is cool. Yeah, it's hard to not make the
And then
stank face on this one.
The hemiola.
Thanks, Mike.
It's like in every song.
I'm gonna say it every time.
You got that blue scale down. Kind of reminds me of, is it Strange Deja Vu?
Yeah. So what did you rip this from?
This is a straight up rip off of, is this one, don't tell me. It's
Say Jam.
it's no. It's, it's in,
This is off something.
Fortune and
It's
Lies.
something like Saints
It's
Row
Fortune
Memory.
and Lies. No, it's Fortune and Lies. And it's like way faster than this and way cooler. Especially whenever they played it live. It's, you know, Mike Portnoy is notorious for rushing. It made this part cooler.
I let so many mistakes pass on this record.
We all did. We all felt bad.
Well, we felt bad that we were recording 15-minute songs for $200.
Oh, I forgot about this.
That's a cool keyboard sound.
I do like that.
This was pre-pan flute era.
Oh, there's already been some flute.
Yeah. Distorted flute.
That's the weirdest time tempo thing there.
I can explain that, actually. I still remember to this day what happened.
Oh, do you tell me about that?
What? You want to hear about the tempo
That
thing?
chord that you end on. No, I want to hear about that chord first.
What's wrong with the chord? The augmented chord. You don't like it?
It's just so like I feel like I'm watching like we just transitioned to James Bond.
It's just an augmented chord. I think it's augmented.
I believe that's a minor major 7.
Yeah.
Mine and major.
Which has an augmented chord in it. So
Yes, it does. Yes, it
there you
does.
go. Big brain. Anyway. So anyway, yeah, that tempo change thing there was in Guitar Pro where we wrote everything. We tracked to our MIDI files, our Guitar
They'll
Pro
do
MIDI
that.
files, and yeah, it screwed up the tempo change there. And JC didn't know that whenever he tracked drums, so he tracked it with a way that it screwed up the tempo change. And I remember listening back to it. I'm like, dude, you played this wrong. He said, that's how it went. I was like, well, crap, and we just left it.
In my head.
Also, you get demo ears too. You get used to hearing it, and we spent hours.
That's true.
Hours,
Nobody else
hours,
probably
hours
thinks that's weird.
listening to those guitar profiles. We'd go to Brooks's after school every day and sit there and listen through up to a part and say, what's next?
All right.
And just things like that. So you just get so demo eared out that like you hear it the same way. Like I wanted to track to those guitar profiles because that was the song to me. So even up until Dreaming of Sleep, I remember tracking Horizons to guitar profiles because that was just comfortable.
Dreaming of Sleep, we demoed everything. Believe me, I
said up to
okay.
Dreaming of Sleep,
not including
not
Dreaming of Sleep. Okay.
not including.
All right,
Dreaming
we
of
ready to
Sleep.
move
A
on?
lot
to
of
the next
comments.
track? Oh, we got comments.
Yeah, a lot of comments on here. The second half was blared out of my government vehicle at 4 a.m. in Japan, talking about dark matter. That's really dope.
bro.
So thanks, Kyle. Somebody saw us at the Black Box Theater at LSUS. That was a fun show.
Funny thing about that was
sorry.
it's the highest paying gig we ever did.
Yep.
Yeah, it was.
Gilbert and Sullivan had a budget or something, and they needed to spend it so that they would get their budget again the next year. And we were the benefactors of that, I guess, administrative decision.
Elizabeth Jones is watching. Hey,
Let me say one more thing about that Black Box show because that was back before I used to change my drum heads, frequently. I broke my snare drum head on the very last note of the very last song of that show, and I've never been luckier in my life. I think actually that was the last time in my life I ever remember being lucky was that. It's been just bad luck ever since. But that moment right there, that was a good one. Okay, I got some
Cool.
questions here.
Oh, cool.
Cyberskeleton said, "Where's the Twitch channel? Can't find it." So, Cyberskeleton, if you're watching this, go to twitch.tv/BrooksTF. Rory says, "Hey JC, use some sunscreen." No.
It's probably
Cool,
the
let's go to
it's probably
energy.
the lighting in your studio there that's causing you to become sunburnt.
Yeah, no, it's these hot beats.
You probably need to adjust your levels really quick.
Yeah, go to the mixing board and change it around.
Be right back.
It just looked like you were tying your shoe.
All right,
Check,
you did
check.
it.
Yeah, hold on. Other way.
What is that?
I can't see behind me. I don't know what I'm doing.
Okay. Y'all want to listen to the next
For
track?
those of you who don't know, this is not actually my studio.
Well, don't ruin it. All right.
Don't ruin it.
All right. Executive decision. We're moving on. This is Energy.
Let's do it.
I
These are
re-recorded.
Hank drums.
I just remembered I re-recorded this part. I was gonna say that the guitar in the end was the only one I recorded on my Ernie Ball, but I re-recorded that with the Paizo on the Ernie Balls.
Those drums are Hank drums that Nathan Glassy
Tank
made for
drums.
us. Came out really cool. Hank drums.
Yeah,
Right.
countless hours of work went into those just for a few seconds of audio. So, thank you, Nathan.
Yeah, it's literally propane tanks, 3 propane tanks that have cutouts like a tongue drum, and we hit them with like vibraphone mallets.
So while you're hearing them, just appreciate them because a lot of work went
A
into
lot
that.
of work. It could
Yeah,
sound better.
Hundreds of hours of Nathan dremeling holes in the propane tanks.
Oh, you got Stanley behind you. A little
You'll
reference to
notice
the
this
beginning.
theme was from the beginning.
I beat you to it.
You did. It was a half-second delay. So this album has a lot of motifs and melodies and themes that recycle and come back and stuff.
And then the next half of the song just goes, yeah, you'll see. I think we called the movements potential and kinetic.
Yes.
Is that correct?
This is building.
Yeah, so this part of the song is like it's physics. So potential energy is building, and then the second half of the song is like pulling the rubber band and releasing it.
It's really
So
contrived.
we were like really getting.
It's really contrived,
it
but
is.
as kids, we thought it was really cool.
This is the release.
And now we're in the second.
We were big
part.
Metallica fans, and we also had a keyboardist. So that, I think, explains this section.
So fast.
It is fast.
Oh, power.
So power. I like those 7/8. The guitar tone seems better on this one. Like, I wonder if I retrack the
You know,
whole
I,
thing on my Ernie Ball.
At the time, I remember not really liking the second half of the song, but in retrospect, it's really cool.
I completely
it's
agree.
a lot of fun.
I like those crashes on 2.
That was my Lars moment.
Yeah.
Space Phil. Yeah. Gosh. Oh,
Weird
man.
note choice there. Whole tone. Oh my god.
Ugh.
Ugh, I hate that.
God.
Speaking of mistakes,
I didn't hear it.
That's the energy release.
That's the shortest song
Climax.
on the album, which is fine with me because it's my least favorite.
I don't think I've listened to that song since
I
we
like it
recorded
more
it.
than I like it more than I used to like.
I
it.
do
I'll say
I do
that
like
much.
it more than I remember. I remember hating it, but now I think I appreciate it more.
I
Cool.
wouldn't pay for it.
No, I wouldn't buy it. Remember that in Bass Pro?
I wouldn't buy it.
on Twitch, Kyle B here. Have a great night. Can't wait for a new album. Stay metal. You'll get a new album soon. That's all I'm gonna say. Okay.
Stan.
Next song, or do we have anything else to say?
COVID-19.
Next song is Gravity.
This
is probably my
favorite. I like this one. This one's a lot of fun.
This is probably my favorite album on the favorite song on the album. Sorry.
I remember y'all wrote the main riff together, I think, or Gary wrote it.
This is the second song we wrote as Tetrafusion. We wrote Inertia, and then Brooks joined the band, and then Gary, he was kind of leading very piano heavy because we hadn't had a guitarist yet, from what I remember. So we named this Gravity and wrote it because the time signature is 9/8 and it's 9.8 meters per second, all that stuff. So
yes.
That's more
Science,
physics,
science,
nerd stuff that went into the making of this album. So
yes, let's play it.
Glad
do you remember
that.
the piano part being like it was very jittery, like it restarted very like in its current state. Daga, 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 daga. It started back at the top part twice. So it sounded like it stuttered every time.
Oh yeah, daga, daga, daga,
I'm really
daga,
glad
daga,
that we
daga.
changed
Yeah,
that.
I do remember that. I think I not to toot my own horn here, but I think that was my suggestion because I remember y'all sending me the MIDI file while I was in Tennessee at my brother's house, and it went dago, 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 gago, dago, and I was like, this is a really cool track, but I don't like that.
Yeah, and so the piano riffs falling to simulate gravity. Like we got really literal with like instrumental concept music for like no detail or fine thought particular was unturned for this. So that was kind of the idea of the album.
I remember Brooks contributing a lot to the drum parts on this, and this was my first experience with like kind of pushing some boundaries on some of the grooves. So I'll probably like kind of live comment on some of the things as they come up because it was just a lot of like twisting my brain to do things I hadn't kind of yet done behind the drums.
Real quick, Andre Casiolato Baraldi says hello from Brazil. Juan M. Rosario from Puerto Rico. It's pretty cool. Thanks for tuning in. Don McCoy, the Centenary Shell has been updated. That was the last time I saw you guys there. So that was we played a show at the Centenary Shell in 2009 or 10. That's been a long time.
I saw the poster
Gary
somewhere.
disappeared.
He probably had to pee.
So yeah, thanks guys for tuning in. We're gonna move on to
Gravity.
Let's do it.
Sounds like the beginning of some like anime or something. I don't watch anime, so that's probably wrong. That's so clean.
I know.
Here's another missed ride cymbal hit.
It's right here.
Oh, it's the last time.
Right here. Right there.
Yeah.
And David goes, "Did you miss that
groove.
ride?" David goes, "Did you miss the ride, Bill?" And you said, "I hit the felt."
And you just
And I
moved
haven't
on.
played Felts ever since.
Yeah.
I love this solo train off.
Call that trading fours. I remember us co-writing our solos at my mom's house in the living room. The keyboard was set up in the living room. I was in my bedroom.
I love that Freebird intro.
I always loved this part with the keyboard, like arpeggio thing.
On the bass.
This section was my idea.
This was fun. This section here, called the Latin section.
Yeah, it was an idea, and I remember bringing it to the table.
It's in 9 still. And then we thought, well, if this is Gravity, we should cut an eighth note every repeat of the of the riff, so that's like it's falling, quote unquote. So this part's the last part was in 9/8.
I didn't remember doing that.
I know, it's the only time in the album, I think. So that was a 9/8. Now we're in 4/4, and now we're gonna be in 7/8. 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Yeah,
So
I
this-
think the
this
idea
section
was
is
the
shrinking-
Measure numbers, the bar lines were actually getting closer together.
As if something
Yeah.
is getting closer to the ground.
we call
Gary
this
wrote
section.
this.
Yes, I did.
It's like classical riff. It's pretty cool.
Section had a name.
Oh, somebody concurred with me that part sounded like an anime opening. So yes, I feel good about that comparison. This is so hard.
This is one of my favorite sections on the whole album right here. Just really good.
love those hits.
Love this drum part.
Yeah, this whole
It's
section.
sloppy.
Really
It's
cool.
sloppy, but it was fun, and at the time, it was just super inspiring to me to just sit there and play this. I always called this the Fall of Troy section because I was really into Doppelganger in or around this time.
I like this part because it was easy. I actually tried to play this on guitar the other day and I couldn't do it. It's not even that hard.
It's cool, Phil.
Thanks, Mike.
So this section is slowly going down like the intro, but like halftime.
All right.
So everything was like, the whole point of this song was an idea of falling or descending. Gravity. Basically.
Yeah, this one definitely probably has the best musical connection to what it's called.
Yeah, this song is probably my favorite.
So emotional.
The end is my favorite.
This song has just a cool vibe to it. I just always loved it.
Yeah, it's got like an
I like that.
like big ending, which is kind of neat.
It ends
What?
on a weird partial to me.
Did you
I've
say
always
hentai?
thought- I was always. Did
Yeah,
that resolve? No.
I'm on the third.
Minor third.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
So the
that was
next song
Gravity.
is Inertia. That was the first song we ever wrote. We talked about it in the beginning of this live stream. Inertia was the first song we wrote in October of 2006. This was before Brooks joined the band. And that's what I was talking about earlier. Gary wrote a riff in 7/8 on an old keyboard in JC's music room. And that was basically what birthed the band, if you will.
Yeah.
Slight
I was
correction,
15.
actually. That riff was actually written inside of the copy room, which we mentioned previously. I used to do like little theory lessons in there before football games. Like if anybody wanted to come and do some theory. Yeah, whatever. And yeah, at some point we came in and I showed that riff to JC, but I was doing it just in 4/4, where it goes C, E flat, F sharp, and then start over again. And JC said that I should probably change it.
No, I thought the organ was out of
No,
tune.
no. We used to practice on the organ,
part
and
of it.
there was a point where the organ had a switch on it that
Yes.
would drop everything a half step or raise it a half step, and there was a story with that. But I do now remember that's been one of my only contributions to music is taking things that people bring to me and then just chopping off or adding 16th notes or 8th notes to it. But in my experience, it's come up with some cool parts. You know, if the person playing can kind of grasp, you know, like taking something from 4/4 to 7/8 just by cutting off an 8th note, it can like really bring a riff to life.
Yeah.
And a lot of times when I bring that up, I have an idea on the drums that I think would work for that. So yeah, that's fun.
So we got a multi-part question / comment here from Kale the Shadow again. I enjoy this format. So just real quick, you're going to
Thank
get
you.
it 3 more times at least. I remember seeing the studio footage for, I think it was the second LP. JC was made a comment that was essentially, "Who do you think we are, BT Bam?" Yeah, we got the BT Bam comparison a lot back in 2009 or 10.
I mean, we were all big like BT Bam fans. We
Yeah.
went and recorded the Jamie King because we liked their production, and you know that's proven to be a very fruitful relationship where you know Mark and I have gone back to record countless albums with Jamie with other projects. But yeah, we get that comparison a lot. They're a big influence. you know, I think we went from a lot of heavy Dream Theater influence to dabbling more in some of the Between the Buried and Me stuff around Horizons specifically, which ironically enough we recorded with Jamie King, who's done all of the BT Bam records.
Yeah, massive shout out to Jamie King. You know, just being fans of a band and looking up who recorded their albums, finding the guy, contacting the guy, and then doing the next like 7 or 8 albums of my career with the guy. It's pretty cool because, you know, we were looking for a different engineer at the time when we did Horizons in 2011. And we took a stab, dropped a bunch of money, went and did the album. It sounded amazing. And we loved the experience so much that when I joined a band called Scale the Summit, and so did JC shortly after, we went and did more albums with the guy. We left Scale the Summit and then went and did more albums with the same guy because we kept going back because of the quality of work. So it's just really cool. It's just kind of a cool story that we started out Tetrafusion. We were fans of a band. We found out who produced the albums. We just cold emailed him, asked for his rate. We drove all the way to North Carolina, which was, 15 hours, and then did, I've got all these albums on my wall up here, the various bands I've played in that were all done with Jamie King. It's just like a really cool way things blossomed with that relationship. So shout out to Jamie King. Like, it's just an incredible producer to work with.
Yes, I
just
agree.
Gonna say that.
I've got 2 questions here from Twitch. First one, how do you guys feel now being established and doing the big analytical content now? I'm assuming that is in reference to like lyrics I'm not really sure what that's in reference to.
I think that has more to do with we've been doing this long enough that we're able to do a retrospective and we're able to look back across a kind of a large catalog of material and look at it a little more objectively. And, a lot of musicians are able to, every time they have a new record come out, it's like, what's your favorite record? Well, obviously they're going to say the one that they're promoting, that they're trying to sell, that they're trying to make money on, but we're not trying to do anything with this music.
Having
We're
fun.
not trying to make money or sell anything. So I think that it's cool to do a retrospective and take, a more objective look at what we're doing because we don't have any agenda with this music other than to make music that we like.
Speaking of promoting your latest record, the next question is, are you going to do the other records? And I think that's just asking, are we going to do more records? And the answer to that is yes.
We started something called Tetrafusion Tuesdays. It's a pretty informal label for this, but just every Tuesday, we're going to be live streaming just like this and going through all of our records. We have 4 and we're working on the 5th one now. So next Tuesday, July 21st, was that right?
I don't know.
I literally have to pull up my calendar.
It's the 21st. Yes, it is the 21st.
Yeah, so we're going to be doing the same thing and going through Altered State and then the week after Horizons and so on and so forth. But yeah, just to tack on that, like I said at the beginning of this live stream, like this album was like the pinnacle of writing music for no other purpose than just having fun and writing what we wanted to hear. There was no agenda, no career, any this, that. I've been in other bands where I have to write an album with a deadline for a label because it's my career and this and that. And this album will always be like I said earlier, a snapshot of a time when it was just for fun and we just wrote what came out. And there just will always be something really endearing about that to me. Just expanding on what JC said a second ago, it's like a very true point of like the environment that surrounded this album just was for the love and the passion of the music. And that's it. There was no agenda beyond that.
That being said, let's move on to the very first song that Tetrafusion ever wrote. And
the cringiest one.
The cringiest one. And we demoed in my bedroom at home. This is not the demo. This is the actual thing. And it's just as cringy. Here it goes. Inertia.
Yeah.
This is the first riff we ever wrote as a band.
It is a very comfortable 7, though, I will say.
It is.
I have to stop it after this. So, Gary, I'm sure you'll understand what I'm talking about, and any keyboardist watching or who will watch this later will understand this. The most annoying thing for a keyboardist is when somebody comes up to you while you're playing and messes with the pitch wheel. And that's where that came from. You were playing the main riff, and I just went up to the pitch wheel and went wow 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 while you were playing it, and we tracked.
I forgot about that. I completely forgot about that.
All right. Yeah.
And then it went on record.
Yeah. Yep. All right. Let's move on.
I love this 5-lit coming up.
Yeah.
Right here.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1.
That sounded like a 5-lit just to be a 5-lit.
Probably. Like this is in 5 just to be in 5.
Yeah. No, exactly.
We can play in 5/8. We can play in 5/8.
We're so smart. We know how to music.
Oh, this keyboard solo is so vibey.
Yeah.
This always reminded me of like Air or like just some of that like really
that was,
groovy,
like, on the
like
ninth? That was
that
cool.
hot chip, like kind of jammy stuff that Gary used to listen to.
That's cool. Those hits.
Like even the keyboard tone, it sounds like Air, Gary. You know what I'm talking about?
He doesn't
Like
know
Real
what you're talking
Safari?
about.
Air. Yeah.
Oh.
Sure.
Yeah.
I thought you were saying hair.
That's what I heard too.
No, that's something else.
Sounds like hair. Sounds like corn.
No, Moon Safari. Moon Safari by Air is what this has always reminded me of.
So many octave pitch bends.
I remember writing this in my bedroom, this part right here. The call and response idea. I think that was Mark's idea.
Did we rip this off Acid Rain?
It does kind of sound like Acid Rain.
I always think of Acid Rain
I've never
by
thought of
Liquid
that.
Tension. I always think that.
Oh, this riff is actually pretty cool.
I love that
Thanks,
big
Mike.
ripping. No, here's the big ripping Mike Portnoy feel right here. Here we go. Every time.
Oh, I just remembered something that's coming
Thanks,
up
Mike.
that I like. See, y'all were talking about lobbing off eighth notes and stuff. That happens. We lob off a dotted quarter note.
I mean, listen to that drum part. Is that not just like Glass Prison?
Yeah. Yeah, it is. Oh my gosh.
That's literally Glass Prison. So, thanks, Mike.
This is cool. I like those inverted power chords. That's cool. Right there.
Right.
Boom. That lobbed off dotted quarter note. It happens again right here.
I love the little build.
That's kind of neat. I remember that. That's cool. Weak pinch.
Nothing beats that pinch in the interlude, though.
I don't remember right now.
It's coming up.
Oh, this guitar bend coming up is really
Yeah,
flat.
Yeah,
It's so flat. Oh,
Oh, so didn't we call this the Disney section?
I don't know. Good trill. Tambourine.
What kind of chord progression is this?
It's a banana fifth. Oh, that open string
we had a
sounds so much
tambourine
different than
here.
everything else. Yeah, I hear it.
I
Lots
didn't
of
remember
reverb.
that we did that, but we did that.
I remember it being David's tambourine because he was a percussion student with me at NSU.
Yeah, he had
He
a
had a concert
collection of like
tambourine.
doodads back there, and there was a hoe back there.
That was a legit like Grover or Black Swamp concert tambourine, which is way too much.
The
for a
famous
rock band.
bass solo. It's like really out of time.
It's like
Here it is. Here we go.
I think it's pretty cool.
It
was just a bass solo to have a bass solo, though.
Just listening back to that. Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah, that's like straight off of like the System of a Down song. I can't remember which one it is. Ugh, that snare drum.
I love the harmony right here.
That piccolo snare.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This Dying Soul.
Oh gosh, yes. That flam was so flat, dude.
Remember the original drum fill right here?
Yeah, I would do it live. I would always do it live. There we go. That's it.
And then the cringy ending because we didn't actually know how to end it.
This ending is terrible.
Ooh.
Do you remember I played the guitar part here? Right here.
Do I remember what?
I played the guitar part on that.
Which the rhythm? I know I did the. I know I did that. You talking about the?
No, you made me do the bend because your fingers were shot.
Oh, my fingers were shot. That's right. I do remember that. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I'm gonna go on record and say that the best part about listening to an album I recorded when I was like 17 is being able to say parts about it are terrible, and that ending was absolutely terrible.
So bad. So you heard it here first, folks.
Did you think you were going to tune into a live stream and hear us say our music's really good? Because that ending was terrible. Terrible.
Luckily, the rest of the album's pretty good. It finishes a lot stronger than that. That's in the middle of the album. By the if people are putting that CD in their CD players, if they even have those anymore. But back then,
take it out.
People were putting their CDs in their CD player. They were probably turning it off before they got to that song anyway. So
yeah. So some things on Facebook. Mark, remember when you tried to return this album to Walmart? So I got to tell this story.
That.
So back when we were again kids in high school, I was so desperate for my own CD to be in Walmart's stock on the shelf, just 17-year-old problems. So we manufactured this record to have barcodes because it had to have a barcode to be sold and cataloged and the product of CD world, if you will. So with it having a barcode on the back, I took my own CD into Walmart and tried to return it just to see if they would take it and put it on the shelf. And they scanned it and they went, "This isn't in the system." And I awkwardly went, "Okay." And I left. So it didn't happen. So that's that story. This is from Jeff Lewis. My brother said that. So that's a pretty embarrassing
I think
story.
you also did that with Altered State because we had distribution through Sony Red, so we thought that surely it's going to work this time. Nope.
I remember it displaying on the screen, like it said,
Absolute Zero. I think we did it again. So the second album, which we'll do next Tuesday, a week from today, we had a record deal with actual distribution through Sony, and I took it back in, and they said, something like, "It's in the system," and I was like, "Oh my gosh, we're like one step closer." But they wouldn't take it because they didn't stock it. So
and then we tried to get our local Best Buy to stock the CD, but understandably they wouldn't. So we just had to continue selling them through our merch store.
I actually think they did at one point. They really did.
No, we tried. And that
you were able to buy our second album through Best Buy on the website, but it wasn't in the store.
That's true.
Ashley Johnson says, "The nostalgia is killing me. It's killing me too. It's so nostalgic that I just called my own song terrible." So,
yep. All right, let's move on to another terrible song. Actually, I really like this one.
I actually really like this song. You want to tell the story about how this song came about? Because it's actually an amalgamation of a bunch of old riffs.
Momentum? Is this Momentum?
Momentum is coming up.
Yep. I'll be right back.
Okay. Yeah. So this song, before we officially started Tetrafusion, I played drums in another band called Altered State, which, if you know anything about Tetrafusion, you understand the significance of that name. And it was me and this guy named Paul. He played guitar, and we wrote a lot of riffs together. Eventually, we had a bassist. We replaced him with Mark eventually, and we just had all these riffs. And Momentum is sort of riff salad-y. It's just got a lot of random riffs that don't have anything to do with anything, and a lot of them are just from those days that the riffs that me and Paul wrote back in the band Altered State. So let's go ahead and play it. Mark's not going to get, he's not going to hear the beginning of the song.
We were so original that we named our next album Altered State because naming bands and naming albums sucks.
Yep.
So,
all right, here goes Momentum.
I remember the drum production, the production of the song being notably worse than every other song on the record, and I don't know why.
I thought those chokes sounded really good. The cymbal chokes, actually, I thought they sounded better than
it's like the whole thing sounds like distant.
We did track everything in like 3 or 4 different sessions for drums.
That is true. So we might not have set up the drum mics as good that time.
We know what odd time signatures are. That's pretty chuggy sound.
And we can alternate them.
We know what a hemiola is. Hey, Mark.
I always liked this
he
section.
doesn't have his headphones on. Mark, do you remember whenever we would play this live, we would pelvic thrust the whole time?
Yeah. That was a staple of our 5 live shows we ever did.
Pelvic thrusting. Somebody just asked if there's a 5th person speaking. I don't think so. Shh, shut up. Get back to your cage. Oh, yeah. Mark wrote this. I'm going to stop it in a second.
I remember having a lot of trouble with these unison hits coming up. It was impossible for me to count back then, and I finally got it, and I can still play it today.
I wrote this part. This is called the Madonna section.
And I'm going to stop it right here. Mark, you got to talk about that in depth.
So I woke up at 6 o'clock in the morning going to Parkway High School, driving myself because I was a junior. I was a big boy. And Brooks had written the song up to this point. And frustratingly, I said, I've got to write on some more of this song because I think it sat in that state for like months. A couple weeks. So I just wrote all of this next stuff, and it was absolutely nonsensical, chromatic, weird stuff. That's the story. Yeah. It's not really a story.
I remember struggling a lot with this, and it wasn't hard. I don't know why I had such a hard time with it, but I guess it was the first time I'd ever done something like this, and having to like count and subdivide with I guess what was at the time, like, it wasn't a very specialized click track. Like now live I play to the most subdivision possible, so it's not uncommon for me to be playing the 16th notes. I think that maybe I was tracking to like quarter note click or a weird 8th note click or something at the time. But yeah, I remember having a lot of trouble with this next section.
Mark, I was hoping you would elaborate on the Madonna section. Do you remember why it's called the Madonna section?
I don't.
It's because
actually
when Gary would play the synth part by itself, it was much happier than my guitar part. Like it just had this like
really, really happy.
It just had this very like hokey,
because it was like the top harmony of a minor progression, but it was all like major intervals, so it sounded
makes a lot of sense.
It sounded like a Richard Simmons workout video or something. It was cool.
All right, let's keep going. This is really fun to play.
So this is the most immature thing I ever wrote.
I love it. And then I took over right here. So this is one of those old Altered State riffs. It was called Sign. Okay. It was called Sign to Gag.
Sign to Gag.
Yeah, because I just slammed on the keyboard and that's the word that came up whenever I wrote the riff.
So Yeah, fun fact. This next section you're about to hear used to be the same song as Monologue from the next album.
Yeah.
That's how lazy we were.
It
We
actually
just, like,
no, it
saved.
still is. We just reused it.
Yeah, so if you'll notice this next section is actually the same part in a different key on Monologue, which we'll do next week.
I don't think we even realized that it was the same until the song was already
it was
written.
intentional. No, it was intentional.
It
was very
Was
intentional.
It was intentional. I thought we just didn't know.
Yeah, and we quote the lyrics in the most recent album, "Dreaming of Sleep," in Sisyphus.
So yeah, this next section and the song from a next album are the same. Were originally the same song.
We quote the lyrics from Monologue, which quotes the riff from Momentum. I just wanted to clarify. I know that there are no lyrics in Momentum. Anyway, moving on. Oh, I just remembered there's a drum solo in this song.
This is the pirate section. That's what I always call this.
It's like Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah.
Arg.
This part was always a lot of fun.
I gotta get back to the Black Pearl. I don't know how you line that up. The snare clips right there.
Yeah, there's a cymbal cut off right there.
Yeah,
that has bothered me ever since.
Bass solo. It switches from like minor to Dorian randomly.
That's a cool. Where the bass is the harmony. It's pretty cool.
Oh, I just remembered something about the guitar solo
really
coming
good.
up.
Ooh, this next section that got.
Pause it.
I know what you're gonna say, or do you want me to say it?
Yeah, you got to say it.
I was messaging Mark on AOL Instant Messenger in the morning.
Shout out to AOL.
Before school. I was just like, hey, I wrote a guitar solo that uses only 2 frets. And he said something like, that sounds dumb. Like, that's a bad idea. So anyway, little nugget, this guitar solo is on 2 frets. It's not on 2 string, or it's not on 1 string 2 frets. It's on most of the strings with 2 frets. But yeah, wording it, I wrote a guitar solo with 2 frets was an interesting thing. Here it goes.
This was also this stack right here. I remember like really wanting to use this stack on
The
this
kick
record.
sounds
This
good
was like
here.
the place for it.
Cool bass line.
Yeah, that was a cool bass line. Why were the bass lines so sad back then?
I don't know if this is a riff from something else.
This is a riff from Sign to Gag.
Okay. That's cool.
Loved all the drum work here. Really cool. Like very choppy all over.
Another cymbal cut.
Another cut off
Harmony.
I love that it only happens once.
every
too.
time.
You just get a little nugget of it. Oh, I gotta talk about this rhythm. That rhythm is like 1 Let's see, 1 I can't count right now. 1
No, it's
EN,
E
2.
and
It starts on E.
Well,
and
no. I'm gonna clarify. 1 EN, 2 EN, 3 EN, 4 EN, which is the rhythm from an old like Blue Devils thing called the ditty. Blugada, blah blugada, blah blugada, and I just displaced it by a 16th note. So that's where that came from.
Well, let's get to the.
And now we're gonna hemiolify
the
it.
beat displacement. No, beat displacement. Back to the Metallica.
Actually, it sounds really good. I like it.
I love this right here. I love when you let it ring out.
Yeah. Nice.
So we learned how to end a song with this one.
Yeah, I agree.
That was a big moment for us, I think.
Yes, it was a big momentum.
Yeah, so that song's called Momentum, so it further plays into the whole physics themed.
I don't know how that has
universe.
anything to do with momentum, to be honest.
I don't know. It doesn't.
We
We
probably
just
wrote
wrote a
some
song
b-
and called it.
Well, remember we had liner notes for the album. It's probably just got some
Yes,
BS
I'm so glad you brought it
thing.
up.
Yeah,
If anybody
We
out
just-
there has a physical copy of this album,
read the
take a
liner
look at
notes.
The liner notes. Yeah,
Please.
read them to us because I don't have a copy right now.
Something
Type it
about
out in the
continuing
comments.
at a steady pace. That's
I remember the word pace
Yeah,
being
it-
used a lot.
It was. We used the word pace like 32 times in the liner notes. And if you find the liner notes for this album, it's all very cringy, pseudoscience, contrived speculations on physics in the universe, and that was like my
We're like
favorite part.
16. I was like 16, so
Yes.
We were
that's
in
my
we were in
defense.
physics class in Mr. Holcomb's class taking physics,
Mr. Hulk.
and thought we knew everything about the universe. Then we
Shout
wrote
out
an
to
album.
Mr.
that's-
Holcomb. He was-
Right.
Mr.
He's a
Holcomb,
cool dude.
if you're
Sure.
if you're
you're
watching, which
watching.
you're not watching this, but shout out
Yeah, he's definitely
over
not.
there.
So we're about to move on to
Yeah.
time lapse. There's some interesting.
Yeah, so this is-
interesting lore about time lapse.
This is time
This
lapse
song-
2.0.
Yeah, so this next song is time lapse. So we were I don't want to call it a filler track, even though it is, but just a lapse of time to the end of the universe, basically, theoretically speaking, but actually, technically speaking, it was just a drum and bass jam that we tried to improvise from scratch, and it was so terrible that we scrapped
No.
it.
It wasn't terrible. Like me and you went
No, it was
into the
pretty
studio
terrible,
alone.
dude.
Wait. Me and you went into the studio alone and we did it. We did time lapse and we were like, yeah, that's pretty good. And we both agreed that it was good. And I remember Brooks coming back and hearing it.
You
and
sent it to
going,
me, or David sent
Yeah,
it to
and
me.
he was like, that's absolutely terrible.
It's really bad.
Absolutely not. So we had to go back and redo it.
Well,
and
so I took-
so
I took
wish-
I took
wish that
what
we
y'all
could-
did.
I just want to hear the original. I want to hear the original because I don't know where it went. It's lost forever.
It was really bad. I never agreed that it was good, so that's not true. So
It was
we
good enough that we left the studio and went home and said, "Yeah, that's enough."
I took what y'all
Yeah,
did
and then-
and I got on Guitar Pro and I just tried to rehash all y'all's improvised stuff and just make it sound a little bit more composed.
So yeah,
because
as 17-year-olds,
nobody-
I think we were really good musicians, but in a lot of ways we were, some of us, at least me, was really terrible.
Oh, and it was
Um,
called time lapse from the get go, and I ran with that. So like I took y'all's improvised riffs and threw a lot of like polymetric stuff in it to be like a play on words for time lapse, but it doesn't really make sense because every single song on this album has that. This one's not unique.
Yeah, and in retrospect, like we did improvise, and I don't think anybody wants to listen to a couple 16, 17-year-olds
Oh
improvise
gosh, no.
on an album. So, yeah, this is the second version that we actually wrote, and it I guess came out a little bit better.
All right, let's listen to it. So right from the get go, it feels like 12/8, but then the drums come in like a 6/4 feel.
It's weird.
And then it goes to the 12/8.
So we're playing with a lot of time, metric modulation, beat displacement throughout the song.
This has the best
Kind
snare
of a lot
sound
of
on the whole album.
low-hanging fruit, sort of. Yeah, because we didn't use the 311 snare. I got better at double bass too.
This is probably my favorite riff. Go.
Yeah, I like how that snare drum is on the and a 4. That's really neat. Really good bass tone. Kind of chunky.
Yeah, we got better at a lot of things. This was, I think, one of the last things we recorded.
Right.
I love
Like,
this.
the tones sound better, the playing's better, you know. Oh,
This harmonics part. This has been a staple in my style of bass playing ever since I played this.
Well, even when
This
we
is
hang
what-
out, like I would say like 15-20% of the time that we hang out, you play this at some point on your bass.
like a little predecessor to like what, Evergreen or something?
Yeah, I wrote a track on Scale of Summits album in 2015 called Evergreen that I kind of was inspired by this. This whole part right here is really cool.
That was a good drum fill into that part.
I miss this ride cymbal. I really like the way this sounds.
Ooh, the toms sound better there.
I was on a 4-piece. It was a 10 and a 14.
Yeah, whenever you go up to an engineer and you bring a 15,000 piece drum set, it's going to sound worse than a 4-piece drum set because they don't want to mic all that.
Yeah, I did this one on a 4-piece. That was a marked difference from the rest of the album.
There's that crash on 2.
Lars hit.
So this next section.
Yeah, I remember that. That's cool.
This next section I ripped from a DVD I had as a kid called How to Play Like Flea from the Chili Peppers.
I didn't know.
I literally took this bass riff from that.
It's the exact same?
Pretty much.
Oh my gosh, I didn't know that. Oh, I love how this kicks back in. Yeah, I remember writing the drum parts on that in Guitar Pro, and I started the Hemiola where I did, so it would kick into this comfortably.
Oh, man.
Oh, nice. I'm going to let this go into the end. Hopefully it doesn't cut. This is a little bit of a cut. Whatever.
No.
Anyway.
So that was a fun bass drum track on the album, just to mix it up. You know, like I said, we recorded an improvised version, and I thought it was terrible because I just couldn't improvise. I still can't.
It was terrible until Brooks said it was terrible.
I don't know. And then we had Daddy Brooks.
Mark, you're peeking a little bit.
We had Brooks rewrite the track, and it came out really cool. And it was just sort of a segue, conceptually speaking, from gravity, inertia, momentum. At least in my mind, it was just like a lapse of time. And then this next track we're going to play soon is called The End. So it's very literally portraying through the music the heat death of the universe, which leads us to absolute zero, which is 0 Kelvin, which is the name of the album, Absolute Zero. So that's sort of how it all ties together. If you've been watching this whole time,
yeah, this
was our best way to demonstrate the life of the universe through physics and music.
This is a long one. This one's about. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, this one's long, so I want to answer this question. Rincy on YouTube says, "What genre do you consider yourselves to be? Prog, fusion, like the name would lead to believe." What do you guys say to that?
I would say that we are just straight up just metal first, and then I guess everybody kind of throws around the term prog metal. I think we kind of use the progressive thing a little bit less now, or we use it probably the same amount, but we know how to apply it in ways that are tolerable to most people. You know what I'm saying? Like back then we were doing all this contrived stuff like, oh, let's put this in 13/16 and it'll be so cool. And now, something can be in odd time and be comfortable. We know how to do that a little bit better.
Yeah, I got sick of using the term prog because people wouldn't know what that meant, and I would say, well, do you know Dream Theater? And they'd say no, and I'd say, Rush? And they would say no, and I'd go, well, do you know Yes? And they would say no. So I kind of deferred to just telling everybody
metal.
That we were a rock and roll band. No, I said rock and roll because metal to your average person, there's a different connotation with that.
Well, it depends on who I'm talking to. Sometimes if I'm talking to an older person, they'll say, like an older guy who'll be like, "What do you sound like?" I'll say like Pink Floyd, something like that.
Yeah, well, that's another good example of prog. But I've been telling people we're a rock and roll band for years, and they're probably really disappointed when they listen to the album. But
yeah, the thing about instrumental music having a label is really interesting because if you turn the gain knob down on the distorted guitar tone, it could almost completely be a different genre and call it like alt rock. Or if you go really light, it could be blues. But if you turn the gain knob way up and it's got really, heavy distortion, now it's metal. So I heard that point discussed a long time ago with some friends. I can't remember the particulars of it, but it was just saying that like it's almost like the guitar tone can define the genre.
Yeah, if you play,
and because we don't have vocals, like if we're not screaming, we're not metal, but then if we're clean singing, is it more rock? So I don't know. I've always thought of Tetrafusion as just a progressive band. It's progressive in the true sense, like Yes and King Crimson determined it decades ago that it was just an experimental push on boundaries and different genres with no real rules for the composition. That's kind of always how I've thought of it. So just progressive music, progressive rock and roll. I don't know. It's just a big an amalgamation of different sounds and styles.
You made me think of
That's
something.
just my take on it.
You made me think
Yeah,
of something.
David Zimmerman on YouTube says gain equals metal. So yeah, gain definitely makes it more metal than rock.
I was thinking if you take like Stravinsky or like Xenakis and you throw some distortion on it, is it prog metal now?
It's interesting to think about, because if you have really high gain in the guitar tone and you it's like if you hear a guitar tone that has a lot of gain, just it's like that, okay, that's rock and metal. Then if you turn it way down and it's more like clean with a little bit of gain, it's like, okay, that's like, surf rock, blues, pop rock. So it's very interesting how, in my opinion, the guitar tone can dictate the genre. That's just an interesting like caveat, if you will. It's
also the kick drum. Like, is there click? Is there not? Like, that does a lot to a mix too.
Right.
The drum mix too. If the drums are really up front, like we usually mix our albums, it's like more metal. But if the drums are more subdued, it's more like popish. So.
You want to move on?
Yeah, this is the last track.
This is a long one. So hang on. We'll probably stop.
This is the track we paid $200 for, and it was 15 minutes.
We double paid on this one.
David, I don't think we double paid him.
David, if you're watching, please confirm that we paid you $400 for this.
Not watching. He's not watching.
Please check your checkbook.
I actually got a text earlier that said David is watching.
David, please check your checkbook from 12 years ago to see if we double paid you for this song or not.
You can just say no, and then we'll all pitch in $50, and there's your extra $200. All right.
Yeah, we still owe you.
One more question. One of my bands played with y'all at the Collective. Can't remember which one. Either Dylan the Astronaut or Loud Like Leisure Shoots. I don't remember Loud Like Leisure Shoots.
Dylan the Astronaut sounds familiar.
Yes.
That was Dylan the
Astronaut.
Astronaut.
So, hello, Jesse Henson. I remember you guys. I remember y'all's set, actually. And thanks for playing with us.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? My favorite part of that show when I was watching Dylan the Astronaut is you guys had a light show that was no colors, but it was just on and off, white, like stark white. And you guys had these like little, I don't know, 4x2 little like light stands that were like putting out really bright light and then really it's just complete darkness. I thought that was really cool. I think about that to this day still, that, a lot of bands are using a lot of colors and stuff, but you guys just had this like really stark white on and off kind of light show. I remember it being really cool. Like
DIY production.
It was really cool.
That was like the floodlights, right? They had the floodlights hooked up to like some sort of switch, and I don't know if they were controlling it with MIDI.
I can't remember.
Switch, but yeah, he said, "Oh yeah, we built that light rig. We controlled by pedals. That was a fun show."
Yeah,
wow,
it was cool.
Cool.
I can't. What was the venue though? It was like it wasn't Mojo's.
It was the Collective.
I don't even remember what that.
The Collective was the venue.
The Collective, which turned into, I guess, Media Star Entertainment.
Okay,
maybe?
Yeah, I remember Media Star.
Yeah,
I don't remember that being at Media Star.
No, it wasn't when it was Media Star. I can't remember, but I do remember the Collective. I don't remember where it was. Yeah, Media Star. He just confirmed that the Collective and Media Star were the same thing. So,
okay,
probably like a Cameron Goldsmith show.
I only remember playing there once.
Promoting.
That's right.
I only remember playing there once. That's whenever we used the projectors as the light show, the best that we could.
Yeah, Dalzell Street. Yeah, and shortly after we played there with Down the Ride, Mark. Remember that? The Battle of the Bands.
Cool. Well, let's get on to the last track. This one's the end.
Here we go. Mark wrote that.
So we got a lot better between recording Inertia and recording this one.
Well, there's a lot.
I think
the last thing we recorded,
the best performances. Yeah. this is some of the best performances and best tones on the record. So I think that's why it's one of my favorite songs. And this is my favorite drum groove on the entire album, coming up right here.
How do you play that double bass with the closed hi-hat?
Yep.
I said
I
how.
thought it was really clever.
The section is slowly becoming more eighth notes.
Oh, yeah. It's expanding. The expansion of the universe.
Distorted flute.
There it is. In all its glory. Slightly panned to the right.
Mono for me.
I always thought this was a cool transition.
I think I got my new ride cymbal by this point. I think that's the
Well, we had a lot of new
Vinnie Paul
gear.
ride.
So this
Yeah,
is
I was using a 7-string Conklin bass. On
right. He was using
Yeah,
that
and that was
PV on
a,
everything else.
I think that was a Sabian Megabell ride back then.
And this is whenever I first
Hear
got
that?
my JP. And I remember, I'm going to stop it right.
No. That was a flat ride. That was an old flat ping ride.
Let's stop it right there. Yeah, so this is when we all got a lot of new gear. Gary, I don't know if this is when you got your motif. I think it is.
No, I had the XS7 before that, but
Okay. Well, we did record a lot of stuff on your old keyboard.
Yep.
But this one was definitely 100% motif. This was Conklin 7-string bass, which was sick. This was a lot of new drum stuff, and this was my Ernie Ball Music Man. And I remember having a serious conversation with Mark, like, should we use our new guitars because it's not going to sound the same as the rest of the album? Like, should we make this song sound a little bit worse because of its worse gear, or should we use our better gear? Like, that was the stupidest conversation. Of course, we should use the best gear.
Yeah. I remember having a different conversation about going back and re-recording some of the stuff we'd already
Not gonna
recorded
happen.
with some of the new equipment.
Not
and
gonna
after the hell that we had put David through, nobody else thought that was a good idea,
All right, let's keep playing it.
including myself. So we
Yeah,
just
and
did
these riffs at the beginning of this, at least the part we've listened to so far, we tack on an eighth note each time and remove an eighth note. It's further, again, perpetuating the heat death of the universe with the expansion of the universe and the shrink and all that. So
If you're sensing a theme here,
chiming back into that.
we only know how to reference these physics things with time signatures. That's the only medium we use to be creative.
Right.
Sometimes melodic contour.
there was
occasionally.
there was some melodic input into that too,
Allow me to be
so.
self-deprecating for a moment. All right, here we go. Let's go.
So much diminished.
Yes. More expanding.
See,
The riffs happen 1/8 note later.
I don't know if you remember that, but you came out and played the floor toms with me right there.
Oh yeah, I do remember that.
Yeah, small details.
That's why it's a little bit like flammy. You could
Yeah,
have just
yeah.
planned it.
Kind of a. I don't know why we did that.
this is cool.
That was an altered scale. And back then, I didn't understand jazz harmony that much.
Hey,
So I
what-
just played it
This riff
straight.
came out of a different.
what riff is this from?
Yeah,
It's from
it was
Roof Weasel.
Marf Weasel, I think. Is it Roof Weasel or Marf Weasel?
That's the same riff.
No,
Yes, it is.
no.
Marf Weasel became Roof Weasel. I'll explain that later.
This next section, I can't remember the name. It's like
Yeah, there was
Heat
a name for
Death or
this.
something. This whole next section was
Expansion?
super.
Was it called Expansion?
We had
The bass line
expansion.
here
That
was
was past thing was
Yeah.
expansion. That's a dope bass line.
This next section was one of my favorites on the album. Like, this drum groove is super cool.
Were
I
these your
rushed it like
13-inch
crazy.
13-inch Sabian
Yeah,
hats?
13-inch
Fusion.
AAX Fusion hats. Yeah,
It's a cool guitar solo too.
Like that you played the
Ice
bell.
Bell.
there.
You hear that?
Yeah.
There was an Ice Bell right there. It's been on every single Tetrafusion album. The same old beat up LP Ice Bell.
It's not on the latest one, is it? Oh, I love that whammy pedal.
Yeah.
I don't know how I did that. I didn't own one. I must have borrowed it or something.
It was with your ground control, like your old pedal board.
Like my Boss GT8 or something.
Yeah, you use your Boss for that.
Is this another Mark Michelle eighth note riff?
Yes.
I think so.
Especially because it goes down a string. It goes down a fourth right here. It's like classic Mark. And then I think I took over right here.
Yeah, right here.
Which is contrary to what I was saying earlier because it's chromatic. I missed the note on the right side.
You got to pause it
Now
right here.
coming.
Okay. What's up?
So this next riff, random story. Brooks and I used to work at Subway in high school. We worked
Oh,
at different
no.
Subway stores. I remember Brooks brought his laptop to work at Subway, and he was texting me, or I don't remember, but he wrote. I
Probably
remember.
not
I remember. Maybe not.
Well, I say
I don't
probably
know.
not.
What year
'cause,
was this?
it would have been 10 cents a text. I probably wouldn't have done that.
And maybe it was AOL Instant Messenger. I remember we both got off work at different Subways, and he was saying that he had his laptop set up like on the desk and wrote this riff.
I don't remember
It
that
means
at
nothing
all.
to anybody, but
I-
something. Yes, no, it's just the silliness of like what we went through to write this album as kids, like working Subway jobs and in marching band. I don't know. It brings back a lot of memories. But I distinctly remember that you wrote this. I'm pretty sure you texted me or you messaged me on AOL Instant Messenger later, but you wrote this at work at Subway.
All right.
Just a random. I just had to
I
chime
believe
in.
you.
That's
I,
what
I remember. I remember about your texting because didn't I get your phone taken up in an assembly with a text, and then you were upset that you got in trouble and I cost you money?
I don't remember
Did
that.
Coach Rayner take your phone?
Probably.
I don't know.
Drummer
We got a
boys.
question here on YouTube from Renzi. Have you guys heard of Sithu I? He's into
Yes.
physics and stuff too. Yes, I am a fan of him. I don't know how to say
Yeah.
his name, but I'm friends
not
with him on Facebook, and I like his work, and I like the split that he did with Plenty. Big fan. So if you're out there, I like your stuff.
Is that not the guy that
very
did
cool.
Cyclamen?
No, that is Hayato Imanishi.
Oh,
Different
okay.
guy. But Hayato is also a cool guy. He does a lot to promote shows in I think Southeast Asia and Japan, and has brought out a lot of cool bands. So
Yeah, I've got a
shout out
few-
Hayato.
yeah. I have a few of those Sithu I albums. If that I'm saying it correctly.
No, he's
Somebody
great.
sent them to.
He's,
It's really, really amazing, like groundbreaking stuff. So yes, I have
like
listened.
his composition. Like he's got a lot of really interesting ideas, and just because we, did these albums, so many years ago, like we all stay pretty current on new stuff. So definitely aware and definitely a fan. So.
Somebody in
That
Twitch
he was like
said-
one of the earlier guys doing this, like
Some-
newer guitar stuff. Like
Some-
I distinctly remember listening to some of his stuff like 8-9 years ago, if I'm thinking correctly. Some of his
Somebody in
first
Twitch
albums.
said C2A. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, but they literally wrote the letter C and then the number 2 and then the letter A.
Okay,
I don't know what
I
that
don't know.
means. I haven't been on Twitch long enough.
Yeah.
call to action.
Please verify.
I thought it was a pronunciation of what y'all were trying to say.
Call to action. Maybe he wants to give us money.
Give us money. Oh, by the way,
C2A.
okay, that's a good segue. If you do want to support us financially or in any way, I guess the best way to do that is probably on Bandcamp, where you can purchase our albums and stuff like that, or you can download them for
And
free.
the only thing that we spend this money on is making new music. So the more money that we have, the more that we're going to spend on the next album. So if you
Trey
like our
Jeek
music,
confirmed that it is pronounced C2A. That is how you pronounce it.
Huh. I've
does that
never
mean?
known that.
So
C2A,
So
like Sithu I is C2A.
So I'm over here trying to sound like really relevant, saying C2A, and it's actually C2A.
Yeah,
Thank you
I've
for
only
bursting.
I've only ever seen the guy's name written. I think I'm friends with him on Facebook, but it's really good to know that you say it C2A. So
Yeah,
shout out C2A.
I'm going to expand on what Brooks said. So Tetrafusion is something like none of us rely on. It's a complete passion project, and that's really comfortable for all of us, because for a while we were wanting to make this band like a complete full-time career thing, and I just think it was a lot more fun, passion slash music wise, to just be a band that writes music for fun. Like I said about our first album, like kind of recapturing that essence where we just write music for fun, we write what we want to hear, and it's in like establishing that as the narrative and the motive for this band has really kept it a lot of fun. So if you want to donate, you can do that through our Twitch stream. You can go to streamlabs.com/BrooksTF and just know that every dollar this band has ever received for any of our albums has just gone into the reproduction of another album.
Yeah, we've never pocketed
Literally.
the money. It's always
And,
just gone right
you know,
back to the band.
Yeah, we for like Dreaming of Sleep, we produced 100 copies of physical copies, and they sold out in less than a day or two. It was pretty fascinating, and we have taken that money and reinvested it in redoing another album. So it's just a complete continuation of, you know, doing the music we love and just keeping this band afloat and being able to create new music and new albums. So it's just know that that's what that goes towards. So thank you to anybody that has ever purchased an album.
Yes.
You know, over the last couple of years, since we released Dreaming of Sleep in 2017, we've got a lot of like pay what you want, high prices, and a lot of free downloads. And just know that all of those have contributed to us just being able to keep music going for this band. So thank you. It's been really awesome to, you know, still be making albums 12 years later.
Let's move on. Let's keep listening to the end. We got a lot more to go.
Let's do it.
Little boopy scent. I like it. I like how the synth picked up the rhythm guitar
Yeah.
with a little bit of glide on it.
I love this
Ooh,
chromatic build.
I like how the synth was doing the rhythm, but it did it a bit lower at the very end.
This part.
This part was so hard.
I
for
wrote
me.
this part. It's good.
I probably took a whole day just to track this. That's fun.
God. So immature.
No, it's not. I love it.
This section's cool.
That could have been cleaner. Oh yeah, so bass here is a 9. I'm in
Pause
7.
it. I would talk about this section. It's really cool.
Oh, you want me to talk about it? Okay. Yeah, so the bass part here is in 9. Guitar is in 7/8. Drums are in 7/4. You could argue that those are the same. And
Yeah,
keys are in
I was going to say
5/8.
5, yeah.
While I'm paused, Wretched Bass asks, has Mark played any fretless?
Yeah,
Yes,
actually.
Next album.
Yeah, so I bought a 1988 made in Japan fretless Fender Jazz probably in 2009, and I was so bad at it that I sold it straight up. I didn't put in the time to learn a fretless, and I realize now that I would probably be a lot better at it 10 years later, so I want another fretless. But I used the fretless on the song Shadows on the next album, which again we'll be doing next Tuesday at the same time. And I was really happy with that performance. But out of the whole Tetrafusion catalog, Shadows is the only song I did a fretless on. And I guess that was tough because that bass had no fretliners on it. It was just like a blank neck. And coming from playing fretted forever, it was just very bizarre. And
yeah, that was his first and last fretless performance.
Well, I think I not sold it. I traded it for another bass because I wanted the bass I was trading for. But you know, now I really miss having a fretless. But yes, the song Shadows on Altered State is the only song I've used fretless on, and I really long to get another fretless because it's just got such a great tone and expression. So I hope to get another one soon.
All right.
I got a question real quick, or a statement. Daniel Thiels says, you guys remember that time that Mr. Christopher and I laid down some string tracks on one of your albums?
Yeah, that's on Horizons.
Yes, we do remember, and that's on Horizons. So
in
tune
2
into
weeks.
Horizons, and we will be talking about that. And that is the same Mr. Christopher that played the cello on Dark Matter.
Mr. Christopher, Paul Christopher, has played on every single one of our albums. So
Yep.
Big thanks to him. He's always been very, very good about that. And every time I see him, he is wearing a Tetrafusion hoodie. So that's cool.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
It's his only hoodie.
That's how he stays warm. It's the only way for him to stay warm. He doesn't have blankets or anything. All right, I backed it up a little bit so we can get this transition. Oh, I guess I didn't back it up enough. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. While Mark's in 9, and then the keys. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Section's
It
so
all
cool.
lines up coming up here. It all lines up here in a sec. That kick is so loud.
Thank you, Sabeda, for the donation. Oh, man. It's so good.
Notice this riff was from the beginning, so we're bringing it back.
Yes. One of us missed a note. I heard it.
This guitar solo is always really cool.
Yeah. Just super vibey. And then bring in the harmonizer.
Yeah,
It's supposed to sound like
this
chaotic.
is one of my favorite guitar solos on the record. I really like this.
Did not write this?
I don't know.
I think that was me. It was a transition.
Yeah.
Because Brooks.
I wrote this.
Yep.
Oh, we're getting to the Meshuggah clown section.
Meshuggah clown monkey section.
My honky tonk part.
Yeah. I still play that all the time. It's fun. Yeah, so
This
the
section,
upper
man.
piano part.
I love
there
that
it
miss
was.
note.
There it was.
Yeah,
there
that missed
was.
note.
Somebody commented one time and said, this sounds like Meshuggah at a carnival.
Got a few of those sections.
You gotta love a good grand pause.
This is Bach Rising from the Dead section.
I was really into
Harpsichord. I forgot about that.
I was really into that the what do you call it, chromatic media kind of thing.
Yes.
You know, we recorded actual grand piano at Centenary. I think we talked about recording harpsichord there.
Yes. Yeah, Centenary
I
had
don't-
one.
I don't think that we actually did though.
I don't think it had that range, to be honest.
I don't think so either. It was also very expensive. I don't know if they'd let us use it.
I love this pitch bend.
Yeah. I remember you complaining about that drum fill because it was a different tempo. I wrote it as a different tempo.
The transition in Guitar Pro was very, very difficult to navigate because there was no, like, you just had to know the tempo and jump right in. And I know that, like, there was a better way to do it, but we didn't know how back then.
Well,
So we spent like
pause it real
30
quick.
minutes trying to get it right.
It was so it goes dum dugga 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 dugga, which is 8 beats, but they're all triplets. So you had to write it all as triplets, or you had to write it all as
Yeah.
eighth notes.
So it was like, dugga, dugga, dugga,
And-
dugga, dugga,
Right?
dugga,
It wouldn't
dugga.
have, it wouldn't have worked in Guitar
Kind of
Pro.
thing.
And the problem was the click in Guitar Pro was like really disconcerting. I remember it throwing me off when I was recording.
I would have
So
had to have written
that
it
was
as
the issue with that one.
8/12. That would have had to have been the time signature, which you can't do in Guitar
So
Pro.
it was like that. da da da
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah, something really weird.
Just every 3 notes or something.
All right, let's keep going. Oh, you know what? I should say
Piano
while
part
it's
in the
paused.
background.
Just
now?
real quick, while it's paused, somebody asked if we have a Dreaming of Sleep shirt, and no, we don't. I'm sorry. Continuing.
Yeah, we don't.
Not yet.
I'm sorry.
That'd be a really good shirt, just like to have that hole right there.
I wanted to do an all over print. I think we ran out of money.
Yeah, that piano is good.
So donate. This piano part was so vibey, so good.
This is all on the grand.
This was on a real piano. This
Yes.
was all on like an actual piano.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
I
one
love
in
it.
Miguel at Centenary.
I love how it changes modulation, like really jerky here.
In retrospect, I wish we would have recorded it in stereo. It definitely does not sound stereo.
We did. I remember putting up 2 mics.
I don't think so.
This whole outro of this song, I love this bass fill. I love this guitar solo. So much that I learned it on bass, like he said.
Yep. I always wanted to harmonize that right there, but I'm kind of glad it didn't.
Yeah.
In retrospect. Is that Hollow Years?
Oh, yeah, girl.
Ooh, I love that band. In reference to the Dreaming of Sleep shirt, someone said, "Not yet, you say. As soon as it is out, I will buy one at least."
We got
We're
one
printing
sale.
them right now. Yeah, this whole piano ending is one of the best things ever, too.
Yeah. Gary, you should write
So
more
you think
stuff.
of it like a coda. It goes
Stop it.
through
No, we
all
should-
of like one melody from each of the individual songs of
Right.
the album.
Yes.
So we
So
start.
this is the reprise. This is the entire
there you go.
album.
It's like
reprise.
the
Yeah, Gary took
underture.
every song and made an outro of piano of all the melodies of all the songs to like, it's like if the universe's eyes were flashing before
It's like
its eyes.
It's
Sort of. That
instead
was
of
the idea
instead
here.
of an overture, it's an underture. That's a The Who reference.
Oh.
Oh.
No, it's the universe is overture.
So
Okay.
it's every
Oh.
single
That's pretty good.
melody from every single song, and we tacked on a new one at the end that was
We'll get
supposed
to
to be
that.
on the next album. Okay, yeah, we'll talk about that after.
Go ahead and play it.
So we're just still closing up the main The End riff.
This is the last song of the album. Love this.
All the modulations are really smooth too.
Yeah.
Oh. So
Weren't we
much
trying to
fun.
keep it all in G minor?
For a little while, yeah.
Is that riff anything, or is it just a transition?
I think it's just transition.
Okay, this is the beginning. The
Beginning.
very first riff from the beginning. And that's one of the sections in the beginning.
This is the first star.
Thank you, Icebound Jester 8, for your donation. We appreciate that. I'm the only one that can see
This whole
the
piano
donations,
thing
by the
is
way.
so dope.
Till the beginning right here.
Summing up the
No,
whole
that-
life of the
that's,
universe.
that's the
It's
dark
just like
matter
vibing.
riff. That was the dark matter.
Yeah.
riff. Now we're on energy. That's the last part of energy.
Yep.
Now we're on
Goes to gravity. It's really cool.
That's like straight up. It sounds like it's the same key too.
It is.
Inertia.
I always thought that would not work too well, but
Yeah, I know.
as long as you're like delicate about it, it's
Right.
like, yeah, okay.
Momentum.
And momentum.
And eclipse.
Yeah.
You got a little aggressive.
Too excited.
Time lapse.
Time lapse?
Time lapse. Yeah. This
Brings
part,
us
this
a
piano
never
part right
noticed-
here is so dope. Right here. I love the modulation.
It's very Debussy-esque. or Debussy, as they'd say across the pond.
Renzi said never noticed the reprise. That's fantastic. Well, thanks for noticing.
That's why we're doing this, actually. Oh, that sharp
Yep,
nine.
No, I love that.
So tasty.
This is the end.
All right, we gotta pause it. We gotta talk about what we're about to hear. So, because
We've never talked about it.
The universe is freezing. Is that what you're referencing, or are you talking about the last riff?
Yes,
there's two things to talk about.
The sound effects start to cover up something else that. Yeah.
Right. So there's a riff that's coming up. Mark wrote this riff, and he called it Marf Weasel, and it was that was just another keyboard slam name. But whenever he sent it to me, because it was called Marf Weasel, I thought the MAR was in reference to his name, Mark. So I added some stuff to it. And usually whenever I add something, that means I added like 10 minutes to the song. And I named it Broof Weasel because, like I said, I thought his was Marf Weasel because of Mark, and I called mine Broof Weasel because of Brooks. That's why it was called Broof Weasel. So we thought, because we wrote that song after we wrote Absolute Zero, we were like, okay, we'll put this on the next album. And so Gary worked that riff into this piano outro as a reference, as a nod to the next album. And we didn't put it on the next album or the one after that.
And then we
after
brought
that.
it up again.
We'll never put it on
the
the
next
album.
one.
So
It was
just
supposed to go to
listen
the next
carefully.
one.
Eventually, there will be an album that starts with that lick, and you, after watching this video, you will be in the know.
Yes, it's the
Absolute
long-lost
Zero
riff
Part
of
2.
Tetrafusion. And
Yeah,
additionally,
and
go ahead.
it came up every single time we wrote an album. Are we going to put Broof Weasel? Are
Yes.
we going to put Broof Weasel? And we always intended to, and we never did. And when Dreaming of Sleep came around, it came up again. Well, guess what? We lost the guitar profile. So the only remnant of that song is that riff.
No, Mark
That's all
probably
that
has
we
it
have.
somewhere.
I'm sure that one of us has
That's
it
true.
somewhere, either in an old email or on an old hard drive. But
Yep,
we have
hard drive's more
and
likely.
we have an unreleased, unfinished song that we made a nod to on our first record that I would love to release like 20 years after the fact. So
Last
maybe
thing about-
we'll
So-
find it. Who knows?
So 2029 it'll be out.
Last thing about this, before I play it, is there's some like sound effects that happen. Nathan Glassy helped us out with this, good friend from high school and college, and it's supposed to
I think
sound
we
like
broke some glass.
it's supposed to sound like the universe freezing. We didn't break any glass. We just downloaded a lot of sound effects. The only thing that we actually recorded was a spoon jingling inside of a glass.
No, no. We
broke that
recorded.
glass.
We took Nathan Glassy. He had a Bible because the pages are really thin, and we put a box fan and had it
I remember
flip
that.
pages.
I do remember that. Okay.
Oh yeah, you're right.
We didn't
And-
intentionally break any glass. We accidentally broke the glass that we were jingling the spoon in.
Is that
It
right?
did break.
Okay.
It
and all-
absolutely broke.
That sound effect at the end
Absolutely
of the album
zero.
is supposed to symbolize like a freezing of the universe,
Right.
but it was like again an amalgamation of a bunch of different stuff.
So
So
let's
There was a
listen
bunch
to
of
it.
little stuff. I think that there was a cat's
After
meow
JC.
hidden somewhere.
that's on the next album. We'll
That's
talk
in
about
shadows.
Yes. Here you go.
next
I
week.
thought that was on this album
No.
too.
No, it's on the next
It's
album.
on the next one. Okay,
Yeah.
my bad.
So we're still on the end riff.
So if you hear that like flapping, thuttering sound, that's like a book with a fan up to it on a
This is
microphone.
Broof Weasel. You hear the jingling?
And that's the end
That's
of the
it.
universe as
And-
we know it.
You can't really tell in the stream, but there's about 25 seconds of silence after that for two reasons. One is because if the universe ended, then it would just be nothing. So we wanted to represent nothingness for a little bit. And then the second reason is we really wanted the song to be an even 15 minutes.
We worked really hard for every single one of those minutes, and we felt like we deserved a couple gimmies.
Yeah. So that is our first album,
That's
Absolute Zero. Again, just some kids writing music with a theme, no vocals, just to symbolize the birth, life, and death of the universe. And it was a lot of fun, an instrumental concept album. So I guess now, like, if anybody has any questions, like we've answered a lot, but if anybody has anything they want to ask,
Right.
Yeah, we
Go
got a few
ahead and-
minutes left. If you have any questions, please submit them now. They are rolling in on YouTube, so let's take care of those right now. Tima239 says, "Wow, is this real or am I dreaming? You were streaming live." Yes,
You're actually
you're
dreaming of sleep.
And
yeah, I was about to say that.
we're going to be doing this every Tuesday for the next 3 weeks, working through our discography. So please tune in next week. And then
Same time.
Tima239 says, "Dreaming of Sleep is awesome. 10,001, Simulate, Captivate, and Vestige are my favorite tracks." Me
Awesome.
too. I can't wait to talk about them. And
So much good
then
stuff to talk about.
MO Spotic says Studio Pictures.
We don't have them yet. I
Stop,
started
we're still
looking
looking
at
for
the
'em.
beginning of the stream, and I still don't. I didn't find them, so I got to
Yeah,
keep
we're
looking.
we're still looking.
So on Facebook, I've got. Make sure to share the link over at Facebook. I'm on my phone and couldn't check that link, but I want to donate. So again, we probably didn't do a great job of putting that link everywhere. But if you want to donate to our cause, go to streamlabs.com/BrooksTF and you can donate. And just remember that every dollar you donate is just purely going into the production of the next album. So we can do this again next year and talk about what immature mistakes we made on the album we haven't recorded yet. So there's that.
Yeah, this is our first time. I got another question. Any influence or musicians that inspire you? I think I heard some Gentle Giant / Haken on Dreaming of Sleep. I don't think that I discovered Gentle Giant until well into my adulthood.
Right.
And same for Haken. I have seen Haken live. I wouldn't consider them an inspiration, but we do have a lot in common. We draw from a lot of the same inspirations, and I think that those guys are great at what they do. That was from Rincy. So
I'd like
thank you,
to
Rincy. I appreciate
bounce.
that.
I'd like to jump in on that one. So I wrote the majority of Dreaming of Sleep, and I would say that I honestly don't listen to that much music. I do, I teach music for a living, and I like to sit in silence a lot of the time, or just watch The Office.
Perfect silence.
Yes, actually. And so I can tell you, I haven't really listened to a lot of Haken. So there's not really a Haken influence on the album. Gentle Giant, I think the only Gentle Giant song I've heard is the one that's on Jordan Rudess's album. I think it's called The Road Home. Starts with like snaps. I don't remember what it's called. It's the only Gentle Giant song I've heard. So nothing overtly.
I saw Haken with it was Thank You Scientist, I think, in San Antonio, and that was a good show. It was a really good show. So if anybody from Haken's listening, that was cool. You guys are cool. I got another question.
Got something on Facebook. Shadows
you got
really
it? Okay.
inspired me to go out and buy a fretless. So that's really cool
Nice.
because I went into Shadow. I feel like I can play bass pretty well. Fretless, not so much, but I really worked hard to make that song what it was. Everything to the bass solo. That was, again, something Brooks wrote. It was really cool.
I've got a question.
And I remember
here on
spending a
Twitch.
lot of time in the studio just making sure that the ethos of the fretless was really captured. Like I really worked hard to slide into notes and really work on my vibrato, and that solo I poured my heart out to make it expressive. So as somebody who's
more
not a
about that
fretless
next week.
player, as somebody who's not a fretless player, I worked really hard to really get the vibe of the fretless across. So for me to work hard at fretless for one song and it inspired you to go out and buy a fretless, that's actually really cool to hear.
I have
I
a
think
question
that's-
here
I
on
have,
Twitch.
That's kind of ironic that Shadows inspired him to buy a fretless, and it inspired you to sell your fretless.
Yeah, there's
Kinda
that
funny.
too. So
Yeah, let's get to
Kale the
taken my
Shadow.
place.
Kale the Shadow asks, "Are there any overt political undertones on Dreaming of Sleep?" We'll talk about that when we do Dreaming of Sleep in 2 weeks.
there's
Yeah, I
like a
think
little
we've-
bit.
We've had a few. I
Maybe.
think that we got into that on Horizons, and we did a bit of that on Dreaming of Sleep. I think that we actually featured Obama on
We did.
Horizons, but we'll talk
We'll
about
talk about that whenever we
in a
do
couple
Horizons.
weeks. I got a question on YouTube. John Henry wants us to notice him, and then he also asked how we like our eggs cooked. I'm kind of I'm an over medium, over easy kind of guy. If I'm feeling fancy, I like poached. Where do you guys stand on that?
Actually, you know what? I used to like only scrambled, just being basic
Ugh.
in a lot of ways. But hey, no, hold on. I'm gonna compliment you. After touring with you so many years, you've convinced me to really like over medium. So I always
over
get them over
toast
medium.
or over hash browns. Like if I'm at Waffle House, I love getting my hash browns and having like over medium or over easy eggs on top, so that they
you've sold me on the over medium game. I get that pretty much all the time now.
I've got some strong
Poached is
opinions
good
on
too.
this.
You have great taste.
I have strong opinions on the eggs. So I usually make eggs in two ways. I'll do a soft scramble, and but it's only if I have like bread that I can toast and put the eggs on, and I'll put like Crystal hot sauce and stuff on it. But sometimes I like to do. I never eat fried eggs by themselves. They have to go on something. Like if I'm making,
I agree.
like a hash or something. Anything. It doesn't matter. I can put a fried egg on anything, but I have to make a fried egg in my cast iron pan with oil, not butter, and I baste it with the oil as hot as it'll go, and it just like gets those crispy, lacy edges. And oh gosh, I want an egg right now. Actually,
Me too. Actually, this is making me hungry.
I'm hungry now.
Gary, I want to know how do they make eggs in China? Like, what do they do? Do they just eat them raw, or are they duck eggs, or?
Plead the fifth.
No, talk
For
to
those
me.
of you, for those of you who don't know, Gary lives in China.
What time is it in China?
It's 11:20 in the morning.
What time did we
stayed up all night last night until now. It's been a long day.
So how do you like
Gary stayed up all night so he could do this stream where we talked about our first album and pointed out all the imperfections.
Slap
so
like now.
He slap like now.
No, answer the egg question.
All right, there's this cool thing where they can steam the egg and put it together with tofu. Makes it really fluffy. It's a really cool thing. It's more like a tofu dish than egg per se, but it's like obviously a really staple part
What's
of that
it called?
dish. But then also boiling hard-boiled eggs, but in tea is a really cool.
Oh,
it's
neat.
like a breakfast one.
What was that first
does
egg
sound
thing
nice.
called?
I know not. I don't
Sorry.
know.
What is it
putting
in
you on the spot.
Chinese?
What
What is it
in
in
Chinese?
Mandarin?
All right, he's on the
Can
spot.
you-
Okay.
Could you speak some Mandarin for us?
Nope.
Not
That,
today.
that was
Next
that
time,
was
next
that was
time.
Mandarin for no.
I've got a comment that says, "I'm loving the keyboard/piano sounds. It creates such ambience and timbre." That's really cool because I agree with you. I think a lot of the keyboard sounds we chose, or I'm not going to say I chose, but Gary/some Brooks chose, were really cool. It really elevated a lot of those riffs. So thank you. Which song did Bipsy perform? That was Energy. So long story short, we had
about that.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Somebody-
yeah.
my brother Jeff asked, what song did Bipsy perform? So Bipsy is a local community college, Bossier Parish Community College, and we had them arrange one of our songs for a percussion ensemble. So it was
Completely
xylophones,
forgot about that.
and they performed it. And because they performed it, it was registered as a live performance with ASCAP, a publishing entity, and we got a check in the mail for like 12 cents for that performance. So
I didn't
there's
see any of
story.
that. I don't remember that at all. Send me
I
my
kept it all as
my
I-
3 cents.
No, I just kept it.
That.
You
I
jerk.
kept it and bought. I kept it and bought like a Coke at the gas station with it or something.
I got another question here. Band name origins. I think we already talked about this, but we were just a bunch of bored teenagers, and if you've never tried, it's really hard to come up with a band name. And I think Tetrafusion was the coolest that we could come up with at the time. That was something unique.
And we weren't
that
very
when you
cool, so
Google
the
it-
name wasn't cool either.
Yeah, when you Google it, it's one of the only things that comes
It
up.
was.
I
Was.
think for a long time it was the only thing that comes up. But some difficulty that we faced is that unless you pronounced it and super enunciated Tetrafusion, people never knew what we were saying.
Yes, our band director in high school, our very like one of the first things that we performed at was like the high school band Christmas concert or something during intermission. And we played like one of our own songs, but we also like had like this little like Jingle Bells thing or something that we threw in. I don't remember. But he introduced us as Touch the Fusion.
Yeah, so
which I actually liked better.
It was a good enough name, but it's really hard to say. And I, for some reason, throughout my career, keep coming up with bands or band names that are really just hard to like to say to people unless you like over enunciate. Like you want it to be cool, you want to be like casual and passive about it, and then they're like, "What?"
Yeah. So the second part of that question,
let's hear it.
Which song was on Guitar Hero? So we were able to license our song.
That's the next album.
Yeah.
We were able to license our song Last Chance, and it was available on Guitar Hero a decade ago, back when Guitar Hero.
I think that was that Rock Band?
It might have been Rock Band.
It might have been Rock Band.
Last Chance was on Rock Band. That's on the next album. We will be talking about that next week.
And that's all the questions I have on Facebook. If anybody has anything else, go ahead and put it down. Otherwise, as the guy who has been monitoring Facebook for this stream, I am done with questions.
All right. I'm on YouTube. If anybody has any more questions on YouTube, please submit them now because we're going to be wrapping up shortly.
I guess we're probably wrapping it up. I don't have any questions on
Facebook?
Twitch.
This stream has gone long enough. If you've made it this far, you need to get a license.
There's
a
watching.
reference.
There's still people watching. There's more people watching.
If anybody
now
can tell me what that's
started.
from, I'll PayPal you $10.
Yes. Well,
That
would be more
made a
than we've
reference.
gotten donated. So we'd be in
Any
the hole.
date for the new album? I've got some questions on YouTube. Any date for the new album? No, it's written, but it's not recorded, and I don't know when we'll be able to record it. But I'm hoping that we can get this album out sometime in 2021. Also, please come to Puerto Rico. I'll pay y'all's tickets. And then, what is that bass behind you, Mark?
Oh,
Which one? The one on the floor or the one on the wall?
you got before I touch any of them, you have to specify which one.
Yeah, please
you're asking.
specify Tima239. Which bass?
I won't touch it until you specify.
Touch the Fusion.
It's probably the one on the wall.
I don't know, man.
This is
Not
is
Warwick. No. Put it back.
We don't care about that one.
Put it back.
Put it back. We hate it.
Did you freeze or are you just really still right now?
He was so offended.
He picked a really bad time to freeze. I think
Mark, come back.
I think he's frozen. This is probably a good time to end. It'll be a cool 2.5 hours. That was a Warwick bass, and the other one on the ground is a Jackson bass. So
Yeah, that's Jackson. Mark is with Jackson now. He still loves Warwick, but his Jackson basses are super cool, and he'll be using them on the next TF record.
alrighty. Well, Mark is he's a little shocked right now, so we need to go check on him.
All right, I need to go resuscitate Mark. We're going to log off. We'll see you guys next week.
He beat us to it.
All right.
Thanks for tuning in, everybody.
Thanks. Bye.
Yeah, same time, same